Global stocks soared and oil prices dropped sharply. After Trump brought Washington and Tehran close to a historic agreement to ease the crisis in the Middle East, reopen the safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, and secure a public backdown from Iran on nuclear weapons. This Monday, May 25, 2026, the market reacted as if it had witnessed a real game changer. Investors bought stocks, futures contracts went up, oil prices eased, and the White House started touting the progress. As a direct result of Trump's strategy, which put pressure on the Iranian regime, held back the most aggressive allies, and made it clear he would only accept a strong deal. The political impact is significant because we're not just talking about diplomacy, we're talking about the stock market and American power being used to force stability without dragging the United States into an endless war. What did Trump get out of Tehran? Why did the stock markets react so quickly? How can this agreement turn into a huge win for people's wallets and on the global stage? I'm going to tell you all about that in a moment, but right now you'll want to be subscribed to the channel to stay well informed with real-time information at the highest journalistic quality ever seen with the credibility standard of Milson Alves. Trump is trying to reach an understanding with Iran that involves three key points: safe reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, control over Iran's nuclear program, and a negotiation period to turn Tehran's retreat into a formal document. Reuters reported that Indian stocks rose to their highest level in 2 weeks after Trump spoke of progress in the negotiations, while Brent fell 0.5 to $97.8 per barrel. The message was strongly received because India relies heavily on imported energy, and any relief in oil directly affects inflation, transportation, industry, and investor confidence. In the United States, the reaction was also clear. The Associated Press reported a rise in global stock markets after Trump stated that talks to end the war with Iran were progressing constructively. American oil dropped by more than $4, reaching close to $91.83 per barrel. Meanwhile, Brent hovered near $98.68. This shows that the market is not just paying attention to political rhetoric. Big money is watching ships, oil, sanctions, military risk, and the real possibility of an agreement that brings predictability back to the energy trade. The strongest gesture came from Tehran. The Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, declared that Iran is ready to assure the world that it is not seeking nuclear weapons or regional instability. This statement carries weight because it addresses exactly the core of Trump's demand to prevent the Iranian regime from turning its nuclear program into a weapon. Anadolu reported the statement on May 24, and the statement gave the White House room to present the development as a result of pressure, military strength, and tough negotiation, not as an empty concession. Marco Rubio reinforced this line in New Delhi by saying that the United States wants a strong and effective agreement with Iran, but that Washington will take another path if Tehran does not accept a serious solution. This sentence supports Trump's narrative because it shows two hands working at the same time. One hand offers the diplomatic way out, the other keeps the threat on the table. For the White House, the deal only works if Iran allows passage, accepts nuclear limits, and provides verifiable guarantees. The pressure also appeared within the American conservative camp itself. Some of the Republicans more aligned with the war stance wanted to keep escalating against Iran, but Trump's inner circle reacted strongly to make it clear that the final decision rests with the White House. The political calculation is simple. Trump wants to come out of this crisis saying that he pressured the Iranian regime, made oil prices drop, contained the nuclear risk, and avoided a ground invasion. For his audience, this becomes the perfect package of peace through strength, hitting hard, negotiating from a position of power, and not sacrificing American lives in a long war. There are still obstacles in the way. The Guardian reported that the deal under discussion includes reopening the Strait of Hormuz and talks about Iran's nuclear program during a 60-day ceasefire, but it also pointed out that there are still sensitive issues such as frozen oil revenues and regional negotiation points. This means that Trump is close to a huge political victory, but he still needs to turn market optimism into a binding document, real oversight, and a public commitment from Tehran. The market is treating the possibility as a turning point because the conflict had been weighing on energy, currencies, and stocks. Al Jazeera reported a drop in oil prices amid mixed signals about the deal and also highlighted a strong rally in the market. The Japanese with hope for an end to the war involving the United States, Israel, and Iran. This detail is important because it shows that Trump's victory would not be confined to Washington. It would reach Asia, Europe, transportation companies, refineries, consumers, and governments that had been paying the price of the tension. Trump also tries to expand the agreement beyond oil. According to Al Jazeera's live coverage, he asked Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, Jordan, and Turkey to join the Abraham Accords as part of a regional arrangement linked to the understanding with Iran. The maneuver is used because it places the nuclear talks within a broader framework, reducing Tehran's room for maneuver, strengthening regional alliances, and pushing Muslim nations toward broader normalization with Israel. Iran tries to preserve its domestic image by saying that there are still unresolved issues and that it will not accept humiliation. Trump, on the other hand, speaks as a negotiator who is not in a hurry and does not want a bad deal. Iran International reported that he stated the understanding was not fully negotiated yet and criticized the Obama-era nuclear deal, saying that his proposal would go in the opposite direction. This comparison is of great interest to the White House because Trump wants to sell the New Deal as a correction of an old weakness, not as a repetition with a different name. The next step is decisive. Washington needs to secure a clear commitment regarding highly enriched uranium, define how verification will be carried out, ensure maritime passage, and prevent Tehran from using the negotiation just to buy time. The New York Post quoted American officials saying that the Iranian supreme leader had, in principle, agreed to give up uranium as part of the peace plan, but that still needs to be clarified. The material will either be discarded or removed. This is exactly where Trump's brutal victory needs to become a formalized victory. The White House reaches this moment with an advantage that Trump's opponents did not want to admit. The market started reacting before the signing because it believes that something big is underway. Falling oil prices help with gasoline prices, improve inflation expectations, ease the burden on companies, and strengthen the image of a president who put oil, military pressure, economic sanctions, and direct negotiation all on the same chessboard. Now the clock is ticking against Tehran. If Iran confirms the nuclear rollback, opens the passage, and accepts verifiable guarantees, Trump will have a historic agreement in his hands with an immediate effect on people's pockets, on the markets, and on the balance of the Middle East. I'm Milson Alves, an international affairs specialist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. At the end, check the comments to engage more with the Milson Alves community.